Hey everyone! Today we're going to talk about some deck list updates to the Epic Storm. Here in front of us we have the Epic Storm deck version 3.9. It's what everyone's been running the last few months. A lot of people have talked about their success with the list. It's a pretty good list, but is it the best it can be? Probably not anymore. It was really good for a time, but I think that the meta shifted a little, so do we. Shortly after Star City Games Philadelphia, I was talking to AJ Kerrigan, where we had both played the Epic Storm. I played in the Sunday Challenge and he played it in the main event. My only losses in the Sunday Challenge were to Grixis, and when talking to AJ, he mentioned that he went 4-0 against Grixis throughout the weekend. I asked him what he was doing. He said he went back to playing 4 copies of Empty the Warrens, which is something that we had done roughly 8 months ago. He felt like it was a really good choice for the metagame with all the Delver running around, and people had forgotten about the plan and have moved off some of their sweepers, etc. So I decided to, give it a whirl again. And that's when we created deck version 4.0, which you can simply do by removing Telemon Performance from the sideboard and adding in another Empty the Warrens. So this was deck version 4.0. So, Telemon Performance was the card to cut because its effectiveness is pretty low. Through the spreadsheet, you'll see that any given list playing Telemon Performance wins somewhere between 2 and 3% of the time with the card. It's only good against Show and Tell, Lands, Reanimator, and Storm. And some of those decks, it's only good game 1, not even all 3 games. So it's just not that effective. And if you're playing a sideboard slot, or playing a card in a sideboard slot that's only good for 2% of wins, it's probably not effective enough. So we cut that and we added in the third Empty the Warrens, which gets a lot more use because Grixis being the most popular deck in the format, you're going to use that slot a lot more often than you would something like Telemon Performance. So this is 4.0. With 4.0, I went on a tear against Grixis. At one point, I was 11-1 against Grixis, and then I came down to earth a little bit. I went down. I think at some point it was like 14-4 or 14-5, and this list was really good. I was feeling really confident with it. I thought I was going to play this at Star City Games Worcester over the weekend, and I had a losing skid. My win percentage was around 72% for over 80 matches. And around this time, people started playing the mono red Blood Moon decks. And my win percentage started going down, and then I hit a string of people on Red Black Reanimator, and it went down even more. And before I knew it, my win percentage was down to 65%, which was a little defeating, but that is Magic Online. So I was trying to think of how we can combat some of these decks, and I tried some things like 4 Cobalt Centerpiece in the main deck to go with the 4 Empty the Warrens. I even tried 3 Ponder so I could fit the 4th Cobalt Therapy. I tried 3 Wish Again and immediately disliked that. So I decided to say screw it. If we're not going to beat the unfair decks with only 6 discard spells, that's fine, because I also tried a Cyborg Cobalt Therapy, which is something AJ Kerrigan really likes, but I do not. So I just decided the 7th discard spell, we didn't have enough room, because I don't end up ever using Burning Wish to retrieve it. So for my playstyle, it's not very effective. If you find yourself wanting to wish for Cobalt Therapy, give it a whirl. I don't really like it, but hey, maybe you do. So I began to think about how bad Abrupt Decay is against these Blood Moon red decks with Chalice of the Void and Trinisphere. So what I ended up doing is I actually looked at the metagame statistics online, and I noticed that Miracles has gone down recently. So I actually removed an Abrupt Decay from the sideboard, and I added in an Echoing Truth, which is something I'll do right now. So I added in the Echoing Truth, and I immediately faced a couple of these red Blood Moon decks online. Mono Red Sneak Attack, Dragon Stompy, Mogcatcher. They're all the same deck to the Epic Storm. While they're technically different, their goal in beating us is the same. So I added in the Echoing Truth, and I saw an immediate improvement because you weren't as reliant on Bayou. So this is actually what I ended up playing over the weekend, and this is what I am calling 4.1. 4.1 is what I am likely going to be playing for the near future. I was super happy with Echoing Truth. I will continue to play it. And for Empty the Warrants has been terrific. So we're looking at stats over the last 30 days. So this is spanning 3.9. I'm sorry, 3.9 is not in there. So 4.0, 4.1, and then something I put into my spreadsheet is 0.0, which is limited time lists. I also had a 5.0 with that. So over the last 30 days of playing, I'm 70% against Grixis Delver with the 4 Empty the Warrens plan. I think it's very effective, and I think that if you're not playing it, you should at least try it. And if you don't like it, hey, you can cut down to 2 sideboard again. And I don't know, this is 4.1. I think you should probably try it. So I'm rambling a little bit, so I'm just going to discuss strategy behind boarding in the Empty the Warrens. So a lot of people, their immediate thought is to cut 2 Burning Wish, because I've shared this list with a couple of people that were playing it over the weekend, and they're like, yeah, I just shave 2 Wish for 2 Empty. And I don't like that personally. So what we were doing at first was bringing in the 2 with different art, and I was boarding out 1 Infernal Tutor and 1 Ad Nauseam. And I really liked this for a while. And this is what I was going to do at Worcester. And then Anthony Laverde, who is Aegis, who's a writer for theepicstorm.com, suggests that maybe we don't board out Ad Nauseam, but instead board out a Burning Wish. And I said maybe at the time. I didn't really put any thought into it. But then round 1 of the tournament came. I'm facing Grixis Death Shadow, not Delver, Death Shadow. And I found myself wanting Ad Nauseam still in the deck, so I decided to try out Anthony's plan, and hey, it was good enough. So the rest of the event I ended up using his plan, and I think I liked it. I had a couple of Ad Nauseam wins post-board against Delver, even with the 3 Empty the Warrens still in the deck. It's way less reliable, but you can still do it. It's still an option. I just wouldn't expect to Ad Nauseam from a low life total and win. I would also consider how many Lotus Petals and Chrome Moxes that you have left. So this is how I would actually recommend boarding against Delver. 1 Tutor and 1 Wish. So let's deboard really quick. And a lot of people have asked me recently how I board against Miracles. So it's pretty simple. You actually want to be fast against them, so you board out 4 Ponder and you board in all of these. So you bring these in. Now you're 1 card over. So you actually bring in the Tendrils, you board out the Empty, and you're still 1 card over. So you can bring out the Island, or you can actually bring out the Scalding Tarn. So keeping in the Island protects against Back to Basics, where leaving in the Tarn makes your mana slightly better, and then you would board out the Island. But that's really the 2 strategies that there are for boarding with 4.1 against compared to other lists. And that's it. I have a tournament report coming later this week. I am waiting for Star City Games to upload my future matches to YouTube. I don't want to link through Twitch because I want the embed to link directly to the timestamp. So my report will be slightly delayed. Stay tuned. It is coming. And thank you for watching.